self-satisfaction. Dean wanted to say something more when the office door was suddenly slammed open with a bang, a female student faced bloodless voice carrying a sob and trembling disbelief. Ms. Sterling, something terrible happened, Nina. She jumped from the building. The scream pierced through the quiet afternoon air like a shard of broken glass, sharp and shrill enough to make every hair on the back of Mom's neck stand on end. For a split second, she froze, her smile still fixed on her face from her conversation with Dean Morrison, her hands halfway raised in a gesture of conciliation. As if the words, "I'll punish her severely," were still hanging in the air between them. The female student who had burst into the office was one of Nina's classmates, a thin girl with freckles whose name Mom could never be bothered to remember. Her face was drained of all color, her lips trembling so violently that she could barely get the words out, and her eyes were wide with a terror that looked as if it might consume her whole. "Ms. Sterling, Nina," she jumped from the 6th floor hallway window. She's on the lawn." Time seemed to stop. The dean's office, which had been filled with the low murmur of their conversation just a moment ago, fell into a silence so absolute that Mom could hear the blood rushing in her ears, thump, 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 slow and heavy, like a drumbeat counting down to something irreversible. The smile slid off her face so quickly that her cheeks ached, and the warmth in her eyes vanished, replaced by a blank, stunned look, as if she hadn't understood a single word the girl had said. Nina jumped. It didn't make sense. Nina was obedient. Nina never fought back. Nina was her daughter, the one she could hit, the one she could humiliate, the one she could use to prop up her fragile authority, because Nina would always be there, quiet and compliant, absorbing every blow without a word. Nina couldn't jump. Nina wouldn't dare. "What?" Mom's voice came out hoarse and cracked, nothing like the stern, confident tone she used in the classroom or even the fake apologetic lilt she'd just used with the dean. She took a step forward, her legs feeling weak, as if the floor beneath her had turned to jelly. "What are you talking about? That's impossible. Nina wouldn't do that. She's just acting out. She's trying to get attention. Tell me you're lying." The freckled girl shook her head violently, tears streaming down her face. "I'm not lying, Ms. Sterling. I saw it. I was walking past the hallway, and I saw her sitting on the windowsill. I thought she was just resting, but then she leaned forward, and she was gone. Everyone's down there now. The principal's there. The paramedics are on their way, but she's not moving." "No," Mom whispered, her hand flying to her mouth, her body beginning to shake. It wasn't fear, not exactly. It was confusion, a sense of disorientation, as if the world she'd carefully constructed had suddenly tilted on its axis. She'd spent years building her authority, using Nina as the foundation. Every slap, every insult, every public humiliation was a brick in the wall she'd built around herself, a wall that kept the students in line, kept the parents satisfied, kept the principal off her back. Nina was the cornerstone of that wall. If Nina was gone, what happened to the wall? What happened to her? Dean Morrison, who had been silent since the girl burst in, finally moved. He was a gray-haired man with a tired face. If you'd like to read the full story for free, please click on my profile picture to go to my homepage. Click the link below and enter Megan's 88W.